Brothers and sisters, this is the feast of Saint Gemma Galgani today, and many of us in Heartreach have been doing this novena to Saint Gemma these days. And Saint Gemma is a very powerful saint. For me personally, I don't know, I felt drawn to her over the last couple of years, and she kept showing up to the point that somebody one day, after one summer where she kept coming up in so many ways, somebody gave me a first class relic of her out of the blue, in one sense. And so ever since then, I have had extra devotion to her, and I've seen the powerful ways the Lord uses her in heaven to answer our prayers. You know, she was a victim soul. She had offered herself to enter deeply into the sufferings of Jesus for the salvation of souls. And she's a real reminder to us that suffering embraced out of love for God is a very powerful, it is the most powerful form of prayer, offered prayer we can offer. And in fact, we enter that into the Holy Mass. We enter into the sacred passion of Jesus, the way he gave himself completely to the Father, and from that comes forth the fruits of the resurrection. Same thing in our life, when we unite ourselves, our sufferings, our trials, the immense burdens that we undertake, that we are called to embrace them and offer them for the salvation of the world. And so this is why even people in immense suffering, where they feel they've lost so much other purposes, so many things have been taken from them, we're always left with this one thing that we can always offer and nobody can take from us, which is our will to offer our sufferings and find in that immense purpose. Now, this takes a lot of faith, but it is the teaching of the Gospels, the teaching of the letters of St. Paul. So, one quote by Saint Gemma is, "I wish, O Jesus, that my voice could reach to the ends of the world, to call all sinners and to tell them to enter thy heart. Only if all sinners would come to your heart. Come, sinners, do not be afraid. The sword of justice cannot reach you here." Saint Gemma experienced the stigmata in her body, the wounds of Jesus. She experienced many heavenly visions and ecstasies and so many things. Even when she wrote her autobiography and she had it in his drawer, it completely disappeared. And it said later on, realized that the devil stole it. And when an exorcist had come and prayed a prayer, the book reappeared in the drawer where she had placed it in, but it was dark, and it was as if it was burnt, if you wish. And so many extraordinary phenomena. But the most important thing about her life was that she was a saint, that she lived for Jesus alone. She lived for God alone. And to live for Jesus alone also means to love others intensely. You cannot love Jesus with all your heart and not end up loving others greatly. Saints are passionate about other people because they are passionate about God. The two go together. They're inseparable. Jesus said that as his commandment. But I want to read to you something from some quotes from some letters of Saint Gemma that are just very powerful. She says, "Often I seem to be alone, but really I have Jesus as a companion. I try to deprive myself of everything, but instead I find all." This is really important. This touches on the heart of Christian mysticism. St. John of the Cross speaks about it. He says, if you want to possess all, seek to not have all. And this is a paradox. Like when we live for God alone, where he is enough, where his grace and his love is enough for me, and that everything else then just becomes a bonus. So when you detach in such a way to put God first, and you seek to deprive or pick up your cross, deny yourself in that sense from other people, from other things, it's not to give them up, it's not to not love them, right? But it's to understand this in the right way, but it's to love them in the right context in view of God. It's to seek God, it's to love God then above all things. That's what it means to detach from everything else. It's to love God above all things. But then this mysterious thing, as St. John of the Cross says, you seem to inherit everything then when you do that. You seem to live in this pitch of fullness of fervor in life. And that's why we have to try and, small mortifications, try, our different ways that we can find little detachments and try to seek God above things will slowly but surely help us to live in this attitude where our hearts would become free, and that where we realize the real soul enjoyment I get in life is to do God's will. The soul enjoyment I get in life is to know that he loves me and that I love him. And then you're free. You're free from the jealousies, the wranglings, the possessiveness, the greeds, the angers, the lusts, the envies, all these deadly sins that destroy our souls and rob us of the sense of God's presence. So she goes on and she says, I shun all the pleasures of life, and I happen on one so great that I am utterly happy. I'm always on fire with love, and I always want to love more. I suffer and never have enough of it. I long to live and I long to die. I experience love, but my lover I do not understand. I cannot fathom him. Being thus ignorant still, I can sense that he is an immense good, an infinite good. Jesus. She says, I wish that my heart could beat, that I could live and breathe only for Jesus. I wish that my tongue could utter no other name than that of Jesus, that my eye could see only Jesus, that my pen could write only about Jesus, and that my thoughts could soar to nothing but Jesus. I have often wondered where on earth there might be something on which I could center my love, but neither on earth nor in heaven do I find any such thing, but only my beloved Jesus.